One piece of machinery that's in some workplaces are forklift trucks. Now this is a three-wheeled forklift truck. There's four-wheeled versions of them. There's telescopic loaders, there's all-wheel drive ones, and also smaller forklift pallet machines which you just push along. They're motorised, they'll take the weight and they'll drive themselves forward, and they'll have arms that lift up to lift pallets over smaller heights or just in small distances. Now with any forklift truck or mechanicalised aid, you're not allowed to use them unless you're approved by your employer. Now this may require doing different tests within your workplace and also doing courses in using a forklift. Now within the health and safety side of things, you need to, if you've used a forklift in your previous employment, doesn't mean you can just jump on one and use it in this employment. So you do need to always be approved. So forklifts are very dangerous, but if used correctly, then they can be relatively safe things to use, but accidents happen with them from time to time. Now, little things you need to be aware of are the truck itself. This particular one here is an electric truck. You do get diesel trucks, so therefore you've got spill risk of diesel on the floor where it's being refilled. You've also got gas-powered trucks, so you have a gas cylinder on them or an integral tank. And these, again, are relative fire risks, recharging, discharging. So you do need to make sure you follow the safety rules and regulations. With the electric trucks, these are charged by a transformer, which you've got an isolator valve on them. So the key thing when you're charging these up, you need to make sure that it's turned off. You connect the power up, and then you can turn the power on and actually charge the truck up. The other one is the trip hazard. So normally when you're looking through at the forklift tines, they should be so the tips are down, and they shouldn't be up at all, so they're laying flat onto the floor to reduce the amount of trip hazard as possible should someone walk in front of the tines and then causes a trip. So if you did see a forklift truck parked with the tines up or spikes sticking up at the front, then you need to be telling somebody about that so that it can get rectified. Otherwise, when you're working around a forklift, if you're in the building where one's being used, you do need to make sure you keep well away from it. Also make sure you're wearing any PPE that's recommended or insisted by your employer. These could be things like hard steel toe cap shoes, they could be high-vis vests, hard caps, eye protection, hand protection, whatever is required in the time when it's used. Also, you need to make sure people are aware of the forklift being operated. This one here has just got flashing light on it, it's got a horn on it as well. But others will have lights which shine down on the ground, so with arrows showing the direction of travel. So as you look on the ground, you'll see a safe area that you can be near the forklift, and also the direction of travel that it's working. So literally just have 4 lights on each side, and as it's turned, you can mark what areas are being in a relatively safe zone. Don't just walk up to a forklift truck and talk to the driver. You need to make sure they're aware of it, that they can stop the truck, make sure the load is secure, it's out of drive and the handbrake is on before then talking to them. So do make sure that you don't distract the driver while they're operating, because there is fiddly. Trying to get some of the loads up high, you do need to concentrate, and if someone's trying to talk to you at the same time, this can be a distraction. So wherever there's a forklift, you need to make sure that you understand what the policies and procedures are within your workplace to make sure that you keep yourself safe distance away from the forklift truck. And if you need a load moved, then you can make sure that the operator knows exactly what you want to do, that the load is secure before it's being moved, you know exactly where it's going and where you're going to place the load down, to make sure that we can keep the whole process of moving equipment around a warehouse or a factory as safe as possible. And finally, some other safety considerations with forklifts. The first off is the keys. Now, you would never leave the keys in the forklift. Best thing to do is to get them locked away securely. So what we've got here is a key lock. So it's a combination lock. The keys can stay there safely, and only people who are authorised to use the forklift would know the combination. So you literally just dial the combination, lock opens, take the keys out, and always put the keys back. Never leave them in the machine. And then there's signs. So if you're operating with a forklift, there will be signs that forklifts are operating in an area, and also temporary signs you can put out to say that forklifts are operating now. You'll also have the trucks have got a horn, so you can get attention. If you're going around a corner, you would bib the horn to make sure that people know you're coming through. So if you do hear a horn on a forklift, look all around you to make sure that you know where the forklift is. And also the trucks have a reversing beeping as well. So as you're beeping, there'll be you'll know that that truck is reversing towards you. So therefore, you know to keep out the way. Some areas will also have areas on the floor that you can walk. So these are areas of pedestrian walkways and other areas where the forklifts go. So always make sure you stay within the pedestrian areas if they're in your workplace. And remember, there's a final type of forklift truck that sometimes is in the workplace, are the robot types as well. So just be aware that it may be that it's a robotic type forklift truck or moving machine that bringing items around the workplace as well. But this will depend on where you're actually working.